Good afternoon, everybody. I want to welcome you to this class. Frank Price is going to be our speaker today. He is the owner of F.L. Price, which is a consulting and training firm that assists new starts, modernizations, and existing owners and entrepreneurs who understand that good enough is not enough. The firm specializes in opening team selection, placement by personality, temperament, type, and training systems for consistent service delivery, customized key revenue profit centers, and the development of a service to experience destination culture, implementation, and training. Frank has become the leading expert on the business of birthday parties, developing programs and installing experiential concepts, customizing manuals, and training employee teams to achieve this level of success. Frank founded Birthday University, a 2-day seminar program to answer the need for understanding the presentation of high-quality birthday parties. Birthday University continues to tour successfully in its 14th successful year, teaching thousands of family entertainment enterprises the business of remarkable and profitable birthday parties. So please welcome Mr. Frank Price.
Thank you. Okay, thanks everybody. I think a lot of you know me more so from the Birthday University track than you might think from the guest experience or guest service track, although I do and use a lot of the same principles and always have for all these years. So this particular seminar, which is really guest experience, and it's going to really fly past guest service, because guest service is a long time ago when you should have gotten that part or that memo. It's not enough anymore. So some of you, and I'm known for really stepping out of the box and maybe really delivering something that's above and beyond what you think you're capable of doing, but it's what's necessary to have to be done now in order to keep up. Things are moving too fast to stay where we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And the industries that are doing that are finding themselves having trouble. So we're going to blow past it. So if I make you a little nervous and a little wiggle around and you feel that, oh man, I don't know if I can, we haven't even got to this point and he's already talking about way up here. You've got to start somewhere and you've got to start moving forward with it, because the one thing you just can't do is stay the same or be the same. How many here are either have done an expansion or done a modernization or are thinking about doing an expansion or a modernization? All right, so really not that, maybe 25%. All right, how many have been in the business for more than 10 years? And keep your hands up high that haven't changed anything in 10 years. You're still a bowling center. Okay, so most of you have it to some degree. The reason why I say that is I want to get a sense for the next slide, so when you see this slide, you'll get a feeling for why I put this slide up. Okay? Here you are. This is you as a bowling center, what bowling centers once were. Back in the day, back when your family first started it, whenever you opened the doors, how many ever years ago it was. Now you even decided to change, you decided to modernize, you started to hybrid, to do something different, to go along with what the market was starting to require you to do, and you grew bigger. Or you tried to grow what you did from within to a larger size. The problem that we found, and what we see a lot too often, is, what do you notice about the two pictures? The skin's the same. So you modernized, you changed, you grew, you thought that you were growing out of what we used to be. But unfortunately, your market is looking at you like you're the same because you're doing it the same way that you did back when. So what I'm going to do is throw it out to you here, go through some things that have come up in the industry or in the newness of our market, or as we have evolved the evolution of industry of business itself from the standpoint of customer service, above and beyond that, so that you no longer are going to look the same anymore. You have to look different. You can't keep doing the same thing. One of the things that we've noticed as consultants and industry trainers is that, especially with the modernizations, you modernize into a hybrid bowling center, so now you're more family entertainment oriented, correct? Okay? But you still operate the same way. And so there's a sense of this culture that has remained the same. The only difference is you've added a few new things. You have to add, you have to evolve, but you also have to evolve by the way you do things. All right, so service. Why bother? I'm going to give you a few whys. And that's always helpful because sometimes it justifies you going through that uncomfortableness of change. If there's one thing, and let me throw it out to you all, what is the one single thing, it's one word, as to why more than likely that you haven't changed or you don't want to change or you're uncomfortable changing? What is the one word? Fear, that's it. It's as simple as that. It's the fear of the unknown. The fear of I don't know it, I'm not comfortable with it, am I going to lose all my business, is it going to work, if I reinvest, am I going to get it back, all these different things. But that one fear, you've heard it before, is blinding. When a deer gets so fearful that the headlights are coming straight at it, it just freezes, and as it freezes, it eventually gets picked off, unfortunately, by the car. So fear cannot freeze you anymore. We are moving too fast. The evolution of business, the evolution of our industry is going too fast. So here's a few whys, just to get it, okay? Here's a quick video you can watch that will give you the first why.
Excuse me, this is horrible. What's wrong with the coffee? You dear. Tell you.
Okay, I show you that little bit of a funny video, or it's English funny. But anyways, with the idea, what I want you to start thinking about is perception, okay? Perception is everything. Perception is everything, right? There's reality. Unfortunately, your perception, or your guest perception, your customer's perception is all that matters. Unfortunately, yours does not. And you might say, what do you mean? I own this place, or I run this place, or I design this place, or whatever it is. Your thought process for why you do things and the way you design them, the way you develop them, and how you run them is through one brain and one sifting mechanism that eventually puts out some form of an output. But that really doesn't matter as much. You need to remove yourself, jump out of your shoes, and get back into your guest's shoes of what they're perceiving to happen. That's why you need to do this. You may put all the greatest bowling scoring system and the couches and all the bells, the whistles that go with the new hybrid bowling centers that are going up, or what you've done in the past, or you're putting a new laser tag or whatever it happens to be. But ultimately, when that guest walks through the door, what they perceive that experience or what that visit's going to be is truly what matters more than anything. All right, here's a company. This is, again, why. This is Stu Leonard's. This is a grocery store. Anybody heard of Stu Leonard's from that area? Right. All right, it is one of the highest grossing revenue stores per square foot. And if you know anything about grocery stores, there's not a lot of profit margin. So what do they do differently? Well, watch. Right there, that's what they do differently. But they live it, they execute it, and they breathe it every single day. And that's one thing that's missing in a lot of your operations. We see it all the time. Theory is wonderful, and I'm going to give you a whole bunch of that today, but if you can't live it on a day-to-day, that's what's going to get you to where a Stu Leonard's becomes one of the more famous grocery stores across the country. And what is the value that you receive? Well, this is just something that they did. They figured out the lifetime value of a customer. We all have regulars. We all have customers that come often. And you can see, very simple. They have 3 locations. They have 100,000 customers. Each customer spends an average of $100. They figure if they lose 1/100th of 1% of our customers a week, it doesn't seem like a big deal, right? But what happens, it actually equates to $2.5 million a year over a 10-year period. That's $25 million. Losing 1/100th of 1%. Losing fewer than 2 customers a day can amount more to multi-million dollars. And most of the customers, what's the number one reason? Why, if you don't know this, why people or why customers don't come back to your bowling facility? What do you think it is? Yeah, the indifference of an employee. Something happened that in their mind, it wasn't, you didn't care enough about me. And it's usually one of your front line 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, or whatever it is year-olds that could be that person that's actually going to lose that revenue and over a period of time. Some of you have been in this longer than 10 years, right? So you have lifetime customers that that have been visiting your facility, and they'll keep on visiting it, and their kids will start to come, and the third generation will, depending on how long you are, if you treat it correctly. Takes how many times, or how many times more expensive is it to actually attract a customer than it is to keep one? Y'all know? 10? Well, that's pretty good. Do you believe it? It's actually 5. It's 5 times more expensive to go out and try to find a new customer than it is to keep one. And these things have been around for a long, long, long time. 10, 15 years ago. Stu Leonard's and Nordstrom's and Disney's and Southwest Air and all these companies that have been doing so well with service, they floundered a little bit. But they've been around doing this for a long, long time, 15, 20 years. Mid-90s is when all these things were happening. So nothing has changed other than the fact that we have got to get better. We can't be doing the same thing that we're doing all the time. All right, here's another reason. This is just a graphic to show how many customers may not come back. 69% of all the people who have an issue with your bowling center for some reason or another, and more than likely it's something like this. Oh, excuse me, sir. Can I help you? That there, one employee just using their cell phone off in the corner is going to feel like that you don't care about me, that you are, whoever you're talking about is more important than I am, and right there could be one of those 69%. So that's a pretty big, large, those are the ones who aren't coming to say anything to you. Do you know that your employee is off in the corner on their cell phone texting while they should be taking care of me? So that 69% aren't going to do that. 23% may tell you later, and you may or may not have the opportunity, or they may say, too late, I'm not coming back because you took too long, or it wasn't the response I got or wanted anyways. Maybe I'll try again. Only 8% are going to tell you now. So all those complaints that you're getting right now, that's only 8% of your customer base that's coming in that is willing to talk and tell you and complain now. And I know you're worried about those 8%, especially if you're an owner, because when those complaints come up all the way up to the top, you know that everything kind of flutters throughout the organization. But that's only 1, or that's only 2, and all of a sudden you're changing policy, and you're changing the way you do things, and you get nervous about it. Just think, there's a whole lot of other people that aren't coming back and telling you, you need to be better at what you do and the way you do it. Yelp, Facebook, any of the other TripAdvisor, all these other online customer abilities to talk about you, which you have how much control? 0. Now, even though some of the companies are starting to say, oh yeah, but I can call up Yelp and I can advertise with them, and if I do, they'll take off some of the negative ones. That is so reactive. You have control of your Facebook. If your Facebook is somebody who's putting a lot of negative response on there, you can either take your Facebook down, you can go in, adjust things. So you have some ability to do that. But what you don't have control over is what the parents or people are thinking as they walk out of there saying, you know what, we need we're disserviced for some reason or another. We paid too much. We didn't receive the value. Our family didn't get. They didn't care about us. And now they're putting it on one of the many different resources that they have. How many have used Yelp or TripAdvisor when they're traveling or in their city to actually search out for a place and give it a recommendation? Okay, about 4, 5, 6, okay? It's getting more and more prevalent. Now, it may not be Yelp, it may be the next new one that comes along. But you have to start to realize that even if I bring in all these customers, and I think I'm doing a great job marketing-wise, that if once they walk through the door, if they're walking out, and then they're putting in a bad response, or if they feel like that it is not up to par, they have the ability now to not complain to you because they don't care anymore. All they're going to do is just go on and complain to the rest of the world. So on Yelp, you want to try to get to this point right here where he says, people love us on Yelp, not people hate us on Yelp. Because even if someone does on Yelp, whether you believe it or not, well, you can make a joke of it here. Come on and try the worst meatball sandwich that the one guy on Yelp ever had in his life. But you still have to respond. You have to respond to these things. If not, as they start to accumulate, you're going to find, have anybody actually Yelped themselves in the last month or so? Only 2, 3, 4 people. And maybe someone didn't raise their hand, right? But that's not enough here, because you have to at least know what people are telling you, so you can at least respond, and respond honestly. If you make any confrontation, or if you start to make excuses for what it is that folks are saying about you, that goes against you even worse in people's minds, or their perception of your business. So they haven't even walked through your door yet, and you've already got 2 strikes against you. So those are some of the things that, again, the way social media is happening, the way that the ability for us to, right then and there, Yelp on our phone because, you know what, we weren't satisfied with the way that we were treated or the way we were supposed to have the response, that is going to start to be a detrimental thing more and more as you go on. All right, here's a company that found out
Frustrated
about
with
Yelp.
Customer service, you could try taking it to YouTube. That's what one musician did after he says United Airlines damaged his guitar. The song became an instant hit and a PR nightmare for United. Bring in our internet reporter, Abby Tatton. All right, Abby, what happened?
Well, if anyone that's ever been frustrated with an airline needs to see this video. This is Canadian musician Dave Carroll, who says he watched in horror last year at Chicago's O'Hare Airport as baggage handlers smashed his beloved Taylor guitar. And then he says he spent a year trying and failing to get compensation from United Airlines. So he took his case to YouTube.
You broke my Taylor guitar. Some may help you on. You broke the huge fix. Your life just ended. I should have flown with someone else or gone by car. 'Cause United breaks guitars.
Well, Dave Carroll is now some sort of poster child for frustrated passengers everywhere. His video has got about 150,000 views since he posted it just on Monday.
Wow. And United
1 week, 150,000 views.
50,000 views, yes. They responded to Dave Carroll. They called him, he says, and a spokeswoman from United Airlines saying they are now in conversations to make what happened right. They said the video is a learning experience for them, and they're going to be using that internally to improve customer
You
service.
should have just bought him a new Taylor guitar.
So we have to defend ourselves
It's a good song.
once that
That's
happens.
very catchy.
Thank you. I like this. Thank you.
So they didn't take care of the problem. If you didn't get the gist of it, okay, they broke his guitar, didn't give he went over a year trying to get it fixed. They never got it fixed, so he wrote a song about it. So let's look at this on YouTube. That's a YouTube video right now. Check it out. It was uploaded on 7/6/09. I did this, looked on YouTube at 6/10/13, not too long ago. Is that 13 million views? 13 million views? What does that do for your image? And you know why this kind of kicked into me? Is because not more than 2 weeks ago, it came back up on the Today Show. And they were playing it again 3 years later. So you got CNN, 13 million views, and they're playing it on the Today Show. Is that good news for United? Over a guitar they could probably have replaced for what? $300-400. somebody made a pretty bad decision there for not taking care of it. But it should have never happened, right? There's my point. Is from nowadays, you cannot let these things go by without doing something about it. All right, so let's start looking at customer service from a metrics point of view, right? Customer service is nothing more than tasking. It's mastering the task of whatever it is that you do. So, for instance, the task of the front desk, when folks come in, check in, and get their shoes and pay for their bowling and whatever else that happens, that's the task, right? So, where customer service should start, and if you haven't done this, it starts pretty much at the top. The groundwork is all done with the core values of the owner. What does the owner stand for? What are their values? What is most important to them? Then we drop down to the core service values. So the next thing would be, all right, let's take those values from the owner and let's drop it down to the core service values, what they believe customer service should be in their organization. Then we drop down, we write what's called a service journey path. We're going to walk from the front door through all the parts of our operation from the customer's point of view. Then we're going to jump down from that, we're going to figure out what is the standard that we need to operate that's going to fit within the service values, within the core values of the owner or the founder. And then we have to put some tools together, a vision story, performance agreement, and some form of a measurement tool to see if it's happening. That's basic customer service. Now, these files I took, I had to go back to a floppy drive to get some of these files off. I just did this about 8 months ago when all of a sudden people started talking about it again. I said, you know, I've got this somewhere. So if I took these files off a floppy disk, you know those little small ones you put, you know how old they were? 1991, 92 is when these files were dated. So these are things that should happen and were happening back then. That's a long time ago. And if you haven't done any of this or don't have this, you can see how far back off or how far off you are. The thing about it is, if you haven't done this, if your organization may or may not have this set into its what? The word that starts with a C and ends with a culture, exactly. If it's not ingrained into the culture of what you are, and you know each one of your businesses has a culture. You may not have never called it that, but it has it. It evolved when you first opened the doors. And the image is ingrained into your employees. It's also ingrained in the marketplace as to what you're all about. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Good or bad. It's there. So now we're going to say, let's go back and take a look at it and see if it's what needs to happen in order for us to make sure that this culture is going to be positive. Now, no offense, no disrespect intended, but culture, it really does stink from the head on down. The top guy or girl or that owner, that founder, and if you're not involved with your business anymore, whoever you have that is, they better have the authority to be able to go in to say, this is what it is. Because if I were to go to most of your facilities and go into the front line, even some of the people who have worked there for 5 years or more, and I ask them, what do you stand for? What are you all about? What has meaning? They wouldn't be able to recite it to me, or it'd be different with each person I went to. That means you haven't communicated it clearly. They don't really know. They're just guessing, or they're just doing what they did last week, or the week before, or what they thought they were trained to be. So that culture has to start from the top person down. You can't send your managers or your knights in shining armor on the horse to run out and make sure, grab a culture for you and bring it back and make it in, because as soon as you as the owner come in and say something that's the opposite or that's different from it, it just diffuses and confuses everybody. So you have to commit. How many are owners here? All right, you raise your hands high, because it starts from you and works its way on down. So take responsibility. If you don't have it, if you're getting a lot of complaints, if you feel that I'm at this seminar because I need to get some better customer service, well, I'm going to have you go back next week. Wherever you get back into town, go into Walmart. There's always a Walmart wherever you are. Grab a mirror. Maybe spend $5 a mirror. Put that in your office somewhere. And just walk into your office and look. That's what's staring back at you is the problem, is the reason why it's not happening, or what you want to happen and what you expect to happen is not happening, because you are not putting in. They don't understand what it is. You haven't communicated it clearly enough. All right, so we start with what's most important to you. That's the very first thing we start with. So some of you owners, let me throw it out. Let's see what you get from this. Somebody throw out, what's most important to you? I'm going to say, well, let's talk about your business. We won't even talk about your life. We'll talk about your business because they're all the same. Somebody throw out, what's most important about your business? about the guest experience in your business? Somebody throw something out. Most important. Fun. Okay. So fun. So fun's one of the most important things. In order to have fun, what's it going to take? How do you know when they're having fun? Smiles. Or people are smiling. All right, good. Okay, so fun and smiles. Remember those two. Give me another one. Returning. So it's most important for you to be returning, but it's not that returning. There's a higher reason that it's more important than just the return. Why is returning a good thing? Pardon? There's a higher reason than money, right? Because money just gets you something, gets you the business something. What's most important about return visits? Loyalty, right? If they're loyal, what does that mean? They recommend to other people. They're satisfied. Okay, so maybe you might say satisfied. Okay, so what has to happen in order for them to be loyal or to be satisfied? Customer service. Okay, that's very vague, right? Give me something specific. Friendship. All right. Well, now all of a sudden we're saying, so far with fun, we wanted fun. We want now to happen. We want smiles. We want a loyalty. We want a satisfaction. So we have to make friends with our customers. Is what you're saying, right? All right. So now it's starting to get a little bit more where I get it, or these young people that work for us, or people that work for us, are starting to get what you're trying to do. So let's do one more. What's most important about the guest experience? Fun, loyal, what? Engaging. What do you mean? All right. Engaging with the guests. So give me related to a feeling. How does it make you feel? When you engage with the guests, how does it make you feel? Happy. All right. We'll use happy. So it's really important for me, for my guests to be happy. So what has to happen in order for my guests to be happy? How do you know they're happy? They're smiling again. Give me another one. They're making memories. Okay. Give me an example of a memory. Pardon? A birthday party. Okay, that's something you do, but give me an example. What would a memory look like? I'm sorry? A picture. Okay, so in that picture, that memory, what's happening? I'm really going to get you to think outside of what you normally would think. A tradition. What's happening? What? A tradition, a picture, a memory. Tell me what it is. You know what it is. It's a hug or it's a handshake. You're getting closer. Who's hugging? Who's handshaking? Families. Families are doing what? Connecting, coming together. It's humans, it's emotions. That's what you're getting at. That's what happiness is. That's what fun is. All these things are higher values, right? That's why you do this. That's probably why you do this. Yeah, the means is you're going to make some money at it. You're going to grow your business or survive or whatever it is you're trying to do. But ultimately, you have to really start at the highest reason as to why you're doing this, and then what has to happen so that you can break it down into and teach it to everybody else who's there who has to produce it. Otherwise, they won't know. And again, it all starts with you. So we start to go from higher values of what we have, and we start working it through a journey path. A service journey path is nothing more than finding out the task, or the area, let's say the front desk like we talked about, the tasks of the front desk and what happens at a front desk in order for that business to transact. Then it's the expectation. What is my guest? Again, you don't count. The guest perception is what counts. What's my expectation when I walk into that and stand at your front desk? And from that, it's all under this umbrella of what's most important and what has to happen, you start to develop a standard. So the standard for what we want to see happen when somebody walks into the front desk, it's all under the hierarchy of the way it should be. It's exactly why we were developed or why we're here or why we're in business. It comes from the top. It works its way on down. But what's most important is what the guest is expecting it to be. But at the same time, it's also happening because we need an end result as a business of the operation of what to happen in the end, right? In order for them to get their shoes, to pay whatever they're doing. So we start there with a journey path. And we write that for each specific area. Or you should have that, or at least defined, so you can communicate it. And so it's communicated consistently and clearly. That's the next piece that has to happen. All right, so everybody just take your shoes off. Take one shoe off, or two shoes off. Go ahead, take shoes off. Humor me. Or pretend you're taking them off. Just think, all right, I looked on you, he's flipping his shoe off, right? All right, take your shoes off. Good, you got your shoe off. All right, now, if you got your shoe off, if you played around, if you did this, what I want you to do is now put the shoe back on, but you're not the owner, the manager, the worker anymore. The shoe you just put on was the customer's shoe. It's your guest. So you have to jump out of your perspective because that's not as important as it is from that customer's viewpoint. Got it? So you all got your customer shoes on right now. Now we're going to walk through this journey path, and you're going to see that we start what the expectation is from a guest point of view. So the first thing is the visual impression. We want to say what has to happen, all right? These are the things that have to happen. The expectation is, I'm hoping it's clean, it's organized, it's accessible, it's identifiable. All right, then the greeting. From the greeting we're expecting to happen, all right, I hope to see a smile. We said that before. Immediate attention. They're helpful. They're not obnoxious. They have the right amount of energy. If it's a phone call, what has to happen on the phone call so that my expectation is handled? All these things are on the top line here. We go all the way through from each part of what's going to happen at your front desk. From a visual impression, to greeting, to the phone, to promotional knowledge, to check-in, check-out, to the transaction, to the interaction that happens, the reservation if they chose to do that, any directions they needed, information, and so on. These are all the tasks of your front desk. Yes? Okay? Have you ever thought about it in this detail? Probably not. That's probably why it's so inconsistent, and that's probably why you're wondering why I can't get it, or why my front line can't get it. It's because they don't understand exactly what it is that you're trying to get. Then the other thing you can do is you start looking at, all right, down on the bottom here, where are the failures? What would a failure look like? And this is just for you to start in your mind or in your management team's mind, whoever it is that's going to develop, or at least see where we are on the customer service matrix of where we need to be. What would service failure look like? So the easiest one, let's just take one. The visual impression. What would service failure look like? Unhappy person. Okay, so somebody behind the desk is unhappy. They're sad, they're miserable, they're frustrated, or they're on the phone talking to their friend, they're talking to their two friends, they're not taking care of you, right? But what else would it look for? Just visually, if I walked in, think about, if you walked into a place, how would you, what is that? A pile of shoes, so it's just messy, right? It's not organized. That's the very first thing. My expectation is for it to be organized because I'm paying you good money in order to have the end result that I want as a guest. So those are things that are running right through my mind as a customer, as a guest, and I'm starting to evaluate whether that experience is going to be good or bad based on what? There's 5 of them. The 5 senses, exactly right. Everybody evaluates their experience in life, in everything, based on the 5 senses. When you first walked in here, your sensories were, spiders were kind of out saying, what's happening? Oh, when somebody walked in later, there was a little more noise because you were playing the game. That was a little different than some of the other ones. What's going on? You're all starting to be curious about it. Well, what's happening? Oh, they're playing a little game. Okay, all of a sudden, the elevation of that experience of this particular seminar is happening through the 5 senses. If you were to walk in and those shoes were scattered all over the place and it had that foul odor, right? Shoe smell? What is the first thing you're thinking as a parent? Ooh, this place has got to be dirty. And how much are you actually charging me for the game? Is it going to be worth it? And then am I going to come back? I'm all evaluating all these things out, and that's just from the front desk. All right? So I want you to say and start thinking about going beyond just, well, this is what I think we're going to do. We're going to keep the place organized. Okay, guys? You all? Yep, all right, we're all on it. We're going to make sure all the shoes don't smell. You got it? Yeah, you got it. We're going to make sure that you're attentive when we're going to make sure you don't have any cell phones on you so you're not rude or ignoring anybody. All those things are wonderful, but if they're not systemized, they're not going to happen consistently. All right, the next thing, those will all turn into your service standards. How many have written down service standards that I can go and see? Awesome. Okay, a couple. Of those couple, how many would say that you would be pretty comfortable if I went into your place and I asked one of your frontline people randomly, they'd know what those service standards are? Pretty good? Okay, that means you've done some work or some thought, put some thought in it besides just writing them. They're in our training culture, but that's only 3 of 100-some people here. So you saying, no, we don't have those, or we never put them on paper? You all have them, right? If you've been in business for a while, you have them. Because you're telling people what to do when they first come on as a new employee, right? You're telling them what's right and what's wrong. Well, those are your standards. They're just not written anywhere, so they're not consistent, and they change, or people don't quite understand them. So the standard is just what's the minimum requirement of what high performance is going to be, or what our guest service is going to be like. The minimum. And then, these are typically what the standards are in most family entertainment centers, as far as a category. And then there's going to be detail under all of those. So if tasty was a category, if that's one of my minimum standards, everything that I put out on the food is going to be tasty, I've got to have the minimum standard of what it's going to take, or what it's going to look like, what it's going to smell like, what it's going to sound like, what it's going to feel like, so that when people understand what tasty means, they get it. So the kitchen gets it. That if the pizza falls on the floor, and then they pick it up and they scruff it off a little bit and they serve it again because they didn't want to make a new one, that's not going to be tasty. That's below our minimum standard. And if they do that, that's bad performance, which leads to bad guest experience, which leads to what? 68% of the people aren't going to come back and tell us anything about it. They're just never coming back. Or worse than that, they're telling the story to someone else. How are you going to communicate that? That's the next big piece. Consistency is key. So if you don't have your standards written down, you probably don't have some of these other things. All of you entrepreneurs out there, there's one simple book, and I'll recommend it for you. It's been around a long time. It's an easy read, and it'll actually make sense for you in your life as to why your life might be engulfed by your business, because you haven't done any of these things. Has anybody read The E-Myth by Michael Gerber? The E-Myth, capital E, M-Y-T-H. No. Write that down. Read that book. It'll take you no more than a week to do it. It may change your entire entrepreneurial life, because it'll tell you why it's not working consistently. It describes step by step. Yes? E-Myth, capital E, M-Y-T-H. Michael Gerber. Been around a long time. It's a very simple, easy read, and it's all of a sudden going to give you all these things that if you did put together, if you did decide to take the time, sit back, work on the business instead of in the business, that your business is going to change exponentially, because it'll be consistent, and it'll be the same for every single employee that comes through. All right, so one of the things that you need to have are a vision story. That's what he'll say. A vision story is, what does your business look like when it's done perfectly? Has anybody ever written one? They're hard to write. I write them for birthday party systems all the time. And it takes me sometimes 2 to 3, 4 weeks, and I've done these things. It's, what does your birthday party, what does your service element look when it's done perfectly? If I can tell that story, and in your mind you can virtually see it, we all can work on it together to get there. If I don't know what's going on in your mind, if I don't quite get the communication, if you haven't communicated to me as a manager, as an assistant manager, as a supervisor, as a frontline employee, I'm guessing. And if I'm guessing, and it's usually wrong, and I'm getting yelled at, what do these young people that work for us do? If anybody's raised teenagers, they'll know. If somebody gets it wrong, gets yelled at, what do teenagers do? Nothing. Nothing. They stop. They said, oh, I'm just going to wait till mom and dad are going to fix it for me or finish it. That's the same thing they would probably do for you. When you're there, telling them what to do, step by step by step, they'll do it if you tell them what to do. But if you're not there, oh, I can't do that. I got to wait for my manager. Or I got to wait for the person to tell me exactly what to do and how to do it, because I don't really know. And I don't want to be wrong, because I don't want to get yelled at. So I don't do anything. So it's, again, look in the mirror. What's staring back at you might be the reason why your service and your guest experience is not happening. Performance agreement. That's another thing. A performance agreement defines what performance is for each employee. You all in your mind know what it is. You know what a good employee is. But have you communicated that? And if you told me you did when you hired them, or if you told me you did maybe last 3 months ago, it's not enough. Things are changing too rapidly. These kids are coming in with new ideas and new thought processes that are dramatically different. The old way of coaching, the old way of managing, the old way of teaching, the old way of parenting is not working with these young people anymore. They're way beyond it. But they're very smart. You know how they're smart? Because they make you think like they're working. They say, oh yeah, we got them snowed. All we got to do is just make them think like it's working, and we're just going to do what we're going to do. And they are. And they keep doing it. So, again, look in that mirror. What does performance look like? If they know what performance looks like, they have the ability to choose to do it or not. If they choose not to do it, you have the ability to make a decision. Behavior issue or attitude issue. Behavior issue, I'll train it because I think I can get them to do it. Attitude issue, I'm not wasting my time anymore. I'm going to get someone else who wants to be here and wants to do this. And so it changes the whole way that your business starts to move forward. So a performance agreement is something, again, that you should try to get to. All right, here's the king. Ray Kroc from McDonald's. Why is McDonald's work and why is it consistent from here in Las Vegas to Raleigh, North Carolina, where I live, to, I don't know, Russia, wherever? Why is it? Those things right there. Systems and manuals that support those systems and train consistently. Everything that is said, step by step by step, happens. Whether it happens here in Las Vegas, we make a burger the same way they make it here in North Carolina, the same way they make it here in Russia, the same way they make it in Turkey or wherever else it is. It's all the same, step-by-step processes. So how many have step-by-step processes for their guest service? Customer delivery. A couple, okay? Is it consistent? Is it consistent? Do they know? Is it used in your training? Is it kept up on a weekly or monthly basis? Is there somebody championing it? It's very easy for that to get diluted down over a period of time unless you keep using it. But if you don't have it, then all of a sudden it's coming out of your mind. And you might be thinking right now that, hey, I've been doing this long enough that I got this business down. I know exactly how it's going to want it to be. I know exactly how I train people. I know exactly what I want them to do. But there lies the issue. You need to know exactly where that mirror is. Because look at it, that's why the inconsistency is happening, because it's in your brain. And you can't be there all the time. You can't, and if you are there 24/7, you need to get a life. Because there's a lot more than being in your business to life. So find a way to start communicating it and to start getting consistency through your manuals or your support pieces, okay? All right, in essence, this is why it's all about, okay? We talk about, the power of persuasion, right? $214.3 billion was spent in advertising. Of that, look at, only 4% of Americans trust advertising as a source for information that they can rely on. But 83% of the people who are told something from somebody, word-of-mouth advertising, correct? It doesn't cost you anything, but doesn't happen unless you're doing something that's consistent and is meaningful and is making memories and is fun and is satisfying with every visit. Is the only way they're going out and telling those stories. Or the opposite side of it is they're going out telling the bad stories that happen. And then that works against you. So ultimately, where would you take your money if you don't have the budget for training, right? Well, let me ask you this. How many have spent more than 5% of their gross income on training? No one. How many have spent more than 5% of your income, gross income, on advertising and marketing? Few of you. All right, so let's say 4%, 3%, 2%, 1%. Doesn't really matter. You get my point? I spend all that money advertising to bring people in the door about something new. It takes 5 times more to bring a new customer than it does to have an existing one. So I spend all that money to bring somebody in. I bring that one of those 5 in. That's awesome. But then when they come in, everything kind of falters there. My employees aren't really consistent. The experience is not wonderful. They're not getting a memory. It's not happening. Are they coming back? Maybe. Are they going out and telling others about you? Probably not. So where would you take, if you don't have a training budget, how many have any training budget in their, so 1, 2, really, that's all? I mean, really, if you do, put your hand up, because everybody needs to see or not see. So less than probably 2% have a training budget. Less than 2%. This is not me, Frank Price, telling you. This has been the last 20, 30 years of business. And over the last 5 to 15 years, 10 years, it's been pretty predominant that word-of-mouth advertising, especially in our industry, is not it's not rocket science anymore, right? You all knew that, right? Well then, how could word-of-mouth advertising work if when they come in, if nobody's taking care of them, or if they don't feel like anything was different? It can't. So those are all the reasons why. Let's start talking about some of the things now. How do we get to the remarkable experience? Remarkable meaning that if you take the word, look at, remark about it. So we want people walking out telling people something happened to them that was so wonderful, it was so shockingly cool that they are telling others about it. And when that happens, you got more people coming to check you out versus what your competition's doing. Where do you get the money? Starts with an M, ends with an ing. Where do you get the money to do this? Your marketing budget. Take money out of your marketing budget. Take some out. Take 1% out, whatever it is, but that's where you're going to get the money to do it. It is a long-term strategy. You may not see the value of it in the first 2 to 4 to 6 months, but 8 months to a year, you're going to see an exponential jump in your business. Because the folks who have done it will tell you so. You know why they don't tell you? Because they found the secret. And so they're going to say, why should I tell everybody the secret of why my business is so long-term and why I'm growing and why I continue to grow and why my customers, new customers come back, but other ones are coming in that are stem right from those people. It's all about what the stories are being told. So this is starting to become where you want to start to become what's called an experience destination. So I'm going someplace. Oh, yeah, I'm going to bowl while I'm there. But that's not why they're going. Or is it? Do you think it is? Think about it. Told you it was going to be out of the box. Told us it's going to be swoo, something. Think about it. Are they going to your place to bowl? They're going for the experience. What was the experience again? You told me 4 or 5 things. Fun. They want to be satisfied. They want to be, they want to find it. They want to do what? And be entertained. With who? Their families or whoever they're with. It's all about connections. It's all about human connections. Oh, and by the way, they're going to bowl while they're doing it. So whether it's old school, league facility, or whether it's a new hybrid FEC, Family Entertainment Center concept, they're the same. Bowling might still be a part of it, but it's what they do there. It's everything that happens around it. I tell this story. This has popped my head. I wasn't even going to talk about this, but I was at a convention that was relatively small, and we went to a bowling center. Actually, it was here. It was a new King Center here. I don't even know if you folks are here or not. But anyways, that was just where it was. And I'm just standing there watching, kind of sitting on the ledge and watching these people bowl. They're all adults now. And they're all formed up into teams, and they played a little mini tournament, and so they got it going. You've all done that kind of thing. But as I'm watching the dynamic, it was really interesting. Because what happens, or what's the most important thing, when you watch bowling happen, what's the most important thing that happens while people are bowling? Let's see if you get this. The most important thing, somebody bowls a strike, what's the most important thing? Yeah, it is the high five as they walk back and they're all excited and everybody's, or whatever they're doing, right? The strike, okay, the score is a very small percentage. And I know I'm talking to bowlers. And I know that like a perfect game would be like, the best thing ever. But what's a hole-in-one? What's the perfect game? It's what happens after with all your friends and being able to brag about it. It's not the score. It's not the actual doing it. And so anyways, I'm watching this happen, and I'm watching it, they're all getting excited. They're doing high fives, and they're doing all these different things. Then I watch one guy, and this guy midway through it, and nobody's really paying attention. Goes down there, he rolls the ball, strike! And he's like this. But no one was paying attention. So I'll show you what he did when he walked back. It was like this. Sat down. That showed me what was most important about bowling right then and there. The strike didn't matter. The score really didn't matter, except for the brag about the other guy. You don't get competitiveness sometimes. It's really the interaction of what's happening with the humans. Whether it's family, whether it's coworkers, whether it's the kids, or whatever it is. Understand that part. That's when you'll start getting to the more remarkable destination areas. All right, here's my story. All right, so I'll tell you my remarkable experience story. This was 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, back when Disney said, if it was your birthday, you could come for free. I said, awesome. Okay, I got to check this out. I'm, in the birthday business, so I'm going to go and see what happens. So I went to down to Disney World. I called up. I got 3 kids. They're all over 20 years old at the time. I thought, maybe 1 or 2 of them will come. I called them up and said, hey, I'm going to Disney on my birthday. Anyone want to come? They're all there. First thing that happened, we go to get our tickets. Notice that the tickets are different here, right? There's mine, okay? Hey, I got the Mickey ticket that says happy birthday because I'm the birthday boy. But then, what did they do with these other tickets? Why are they different? Are they random? What do you think they did? They asked my kids and they asked my wife, so who's your favorite Disney character? And they gave them their favorite Disney character ticket. Didn't cost anything. They did that, right? I noticed. Then they put the button. Okay, here's my button. You know, it's different. It says happy birthday. What do you notice about my button? What is it? My name? What else? It is different than all the rest? Absolutely, I would expect that, but what didn't I expect? Pardon? They didn't know my age. It's so simple. It's the exclamation point, yeah, that was nice, but it's even simpler than that. Huh? Yeah, the little Mickey had. That was with Sharpie. That wasn't on there. She said, who's your favorite Disney character? I said, Mickey. She put a little Mickey on top of mine. I'm saying, oh, feeling good. But then notice my kids. What do you notice about there? They personalize it because she said, what do your kids call you? And you know, you would think they'd all call me Dad, right? Well, they don't. They all call me something crazy. One calls me Daddy, one Daddy-O, one's Pop. Sometimes they call me P. Diddy. You know what? It's personalized, and I'm happy about that. So all of a sudden, they did that. All right, there we go. There I am. You see my button? I'm walking down the main street. I'm as proud as can be. It's my birthday. Everything's about me. When we walked in, there was a parade going on. Now, the difference of what's happening on the parade was a little bit more unique than what normal parades where you just sit and watch. They had an interactive parade. And the interactive parade was, oh sure, there was a float, there was Minnie and Mickey, that was all what I would expect to happen. But they also had an interactive parade where, once it happened, they had a live DJ. And the live DJ was up there saying, getting the whole thing going. He was getting people to dance on the street. He'd stop the float and get people to dance on the street. He'd do all kinds of crazy things to have people interact. So it wasn't just me standing there watching. No, we're out on the street. Oh, there's my wife and my three kids. You can see them. They're all, you know, definitely college age or beyond, right? They're all having fun getting into it. And even I'm a pathetic dancer, but they got me into it. Hey, I got 3 college kids, my kids, at Disney World dancing with their old man. That's pretty cool, right? At my age. Anyway, so we're dancing on the street. We had a good time. You might think, oh, everything's going great. I'm enjoying myself. They're doing a pretty good job. Hasn't cost them a penny yet, has it? Not a cent. Then all of a sudden, the Cinderella float comes by. Now, we're all standing there on the road now because the floats were going by, but the Cinderella float stopped right in front of us. So as we're watching, we're all in a line now. It was so close to us, we were almost a part of the parade. We were right in front. And we're all 3 of us, 4 of us, 5 of us are looking up, and this is what we see. We see the fairy godmother. And the fairy godmother is doing her song, because she's live doing the parade thing. Well, all of a sudden, the fairy godmother is singing the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo song, and she looks down and points right to me and says, "Happy birthday." And my kids went, "Ah, Dad, can't believe it. You got wished happy birthday by the fairy godmother." They were jumping up and down. They were so excited for me, right? And I was excited because, you know what? Not everybody got wished happy birthday by the fairy godmother. It was pretty cool. And so that's what I remembered, and that's what I tell the story about. There we are at the end of the parade, and we're all enjoying it, but it was personalized. There were 10,000 people in that park that day, 10,000. But I felt like I was the only one who got wished happy birthday by the fairy godmother. Is that remarkable? Did that cost anything? How many people have I told this story to? You've got 130 here. Multiply this by about 50, because I tell it almost every place I go. So they've got, instead of having 13 million bad things like United's getting, they're getting maybe not 13 million, but I could even put this on YouTube and maybe I'll get that many hits. But they got all those people saying hearing me say how wonderful and what they did. But that wasn't the only thing. They did one more thing. Now, this guy did it again. He was live. He was like the MC, okay? He would be like having in your world, a DJ, right? So if you had a DJ out there, he's live running, making things going. Some of you have the DJs on your Cosmic Night, right? Yeah, the same thing. Well, what the DJ doing? Same old thing he does every week, or is he actually making a difference? Well, this DJ made a difference, because you may not have noticed, and it's hard to tell in the pictures. Let me go back, and I'll just see this one. It's very hard to see, but I'm wearing a certain hat there. My son's wearing the same hat, and my wife, you can kind of see, was wearing that right there. It's hard to see in this picture. Okay, it was Virginia. right? So he's got a Virginia hat on, I got a Virginia hat on, she's got Virginia on. And so as this guy was leaving, the parade started up again. He says, Virginia's in the house. Virginia's in the house. Who was he talking to? Us. We're saying, oh man, this is really cool. Now, he didn't know this. But let me tell you why it was so important to us. This was on February. My son had just got recruited to play lacrosse at Virginia. And it was a huge thing for our family to be recognized. And he didn't even know it. He just, well, I saw it and I recognized it. I said something. That's remarkable. It doesn't cost anything, but somebody had to choose to do something to make it happen. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. Yes, they set it up at some point. Fairy godmother, if you see somebody with a button, birthday button, wish them happy birthday. Everybody else was supposed to wish me happy birthday as well. But guess what? Throughout that day, I had 14 cast members wish me happy birthday. One was the fairy godmother, remember, and one other one. The rest were all what you would expect. Happy birthday, sir. Happy birthday. After a while, I expect everybody to wish me happy birthday. But no, one other person did this. As I'm walking by, I'm not really paying much attention. I hear this. Hey, you. Me? Yeah, come here. A little bit older woman, she says. I noticed. It's your birthday, isn't it? Well, where are you from, she said. I said, I'm from North Carolina. Oh. Let's see. Want to play guess your birthday? And I said, sure. Nobody's ever guessed it all day today. She goes, well, I'm pretty good at it. So what did she do? She played a little goofy game with me. She definitely aged me down, which was good. But I remember it because it was more than just happy birthday or happy birthday, sir. So it's taken it up to that next level. That's when it becomes remarkable. That's when it becomes something different than just what everybody else is doing. Now, here's the key. Now, this one you have to do. So drop your pencils for a second, if you're right-handed especially. You have to do this one with me. Okay? All right, hold up your right hand with your finger pointed. Come on. It's not that bad. I saw her eyes go, oh, God, I have to do this. All right, take your right hand on the right side of your neck. All right? Put it there, okay? Now, you have to move it around some because everybody's different. Just feel it around. You're going to feel a bump there. Right when you feel the bump, oh, there it is. That's your button. You all have one. In fact, everybody that works for you has one. It's the button that only you can push. Because you know what? It doesn't matter what I do. I could be your parent, come on over and say, hey, I need you to do something. Push. It doesn't work. It only works when you push your own button. So you as a manager can come over and say, hey, I want you to do this. And they say, what? What do you mean? And say, I'll push your button to get you to do it, right? No matter how much you think that you're going to motivate them to get them to do something, they still have to make that decision, right? The choice to do it. So my point is here. Every one of us has a button. Only we can push. Our spouse can't push it. Our bosses, our coaches, our owners, doesn't matter. Our parents, no one can push it. They might give us a little bit of incentive to maybe push it, but we still have to make the actual final decision to push the button. So when somebody told the fairy godmother on that float that day that you can do this, they gave him permission, they set it all up, they said, here's a button down there to show whose birthday it is. She still had to do this. Push her button to wish me happy birthday. If she didn't, it wouldn't have happened. Yes? That's the key. If you walk away with this and you go back and you can just put this into the minds of your people that work for you, that I know that I can't get you to do anything. How many have raised teenagers? Okay, you know about the button, right? And you know when you push it, nothing happens. You may think it does, and when they come back from college 2, 3, 4 years and you're sitting at the Thanksgiving table and they told you all the things that you thought they did or didn't do, and you're saying, it's because they were pushing their own buttons, just like we did. The idea is get them to understand what it is, give them the right tools, make it fun, make it exciting, get them to know why. We talked about all the things and tools that you need to put together so that they will push their own button. It is so much more fun and nice to smile than it is to be miserable. But why are so many people miserable? Because they choose to push their miserable button instead of their happy button. Yes or no? I mean, it's so simple. And you're all looking at me like, man, never thought of it that way. And yet, it's so hard because we can't be happy all the time. You know, we always have these problems, these issues, all these things. All you have to do is take a step back and choose, boop, push, and you're happy, and it all goes away, at least for that moment. Yes, you have the power. But so does everybody else that works for you, has the power to make a difference or not. You're just going to give them the tools to understand what to do so that you can get to this next higher level. So it all comes down to you, meaning you're in control. Not as a boss, not as a manager, but you, the individual. And if you can get that through your young frontline people because they understand it, you gave them the tools to do it, they will start pushing their buttons, and it changes the way that they work, because it's not work anymore. It's just about fun. And the way that they get things done, because they're doing it for different reasons. And by the way, they understand that if I bring families together and I engage them and I, facilitate and the boss, he just wants them to see me smile. If they smile, he's happy. I've done my job. All right, so I'm going to push my button to figure out how to make them smile instead of standing back in the corner, bored, waiting on the phone, cell phone, or whatever it is. Now, we all know that's hard to do with teenagers. The 16, 17, 18-year-olds, that's hard to get them to understand that because they are in that alien phase of it's all about me. So the me part has to come from, well, what do you get from it? And you start teaching and you start talking about what they're going to deliver in a different manner. Because if you talk about money, if you talk about we need you to do this because to do this is the only way our business works, they could care less. But if all of a sudden they start to understand and realize that if I do this, that I make a difference in a family's lives, and those two poor little kids were having to sit and watch their parents argue for the last week, and all of a sudden they came to your bowling center to try to have fun, but they still are so dysfunctional, they still can't have fun. But maybe I can make a difference by doing something for those two kids and make one little time in their week a happy moment. I have the power to do that. I'm only 16. But they do, right? So all of a sudden it changes. And when it changes, when they realize that they're in control. So we start talking about the tangible wow. Those are the things that you have from what you built. Anything that's the bowling, the pins, the ball, the shoes, the this, everything, any of those things that are tangible, initially recognized as the wow. You new folks that just built something, spent all this money, realized that wow lasts. How long do you think it lasts? Let's see if you got it down. How long does a new attraction or new facility last in its wow value? How many months? 6 months? You guys, that's a little low. About 18 months. Anybody built something just recently? They're in that 18th, 19th? Yeah, would you agree with that? Unfortunately? All right. Well, no. You're 6 months into it. Okay, it's going to be. Just get ready for it. Because in all the years of doing this, I don't care if it's been a $3 or $4 million roller coaster or if it's been a new laser tag or whatever it is. You do get tangible wow value for about 18 months. And it really doesn't matter what it is or how big it is or how new it is. But the wow value then can be extended with the intangible wow. The intangible wow is the human. It's what you do while they're playing laser tag. It's what you do, how you set it up, how you brief it, how you interact as the referee. If you're boring and you sit back and don't do anything, there's no wow. It's just you're letting the whole laser tag program, whatever it does. And if they played it over and over again, it's the same game. But all I have to do is tell that we're playing a James Bond game, and they're all going to be playing like this. And so I've just changed the whole laser tag game up just by doing one simple thing. If I tell them to bowl, young people, if we tell them that they're bowling space bombs, and everything that one of those pins is a TIE fighter that they're knocking down, keep track of how many TIE fighters you knock down, you've just changed the whole way their thought process is when they're bowling. And you might say, oh yeah, that's crazy, but we don't have time for that. That's the free, simple, inexpensive things that you can do that changes, and then that gives you the more remarkable experience. Because the kids are now talking about, we didn't bowl, we didn't knock pins down. I was Luke Skywalker, and this was Chewbacca, and we were rolling down knocking TIE fighters. My dad and I knocked down 30 TIE fighters. And that's what they're talking about. And believe me, the same thing happens on a just different level with the adults. It's really not about the bowling. And your parties, your adult parties, some of you may have heard me talk about this too, it's the same. We eat, we drink, we talk. Everybody does that. You just happen to have bowling at your place. They can eat, drink, and talk at my place for nothing. I don't have to come and rent your spot. So you have bowling and I don't. So they eat, drink, talk, and bowl. But after that, it's the same. Your competitors do that. They've done that last year. Why are they going to do it this year? Well, unless you put a human that chooses to press the button, do something different, that's when it changes it up. And then all of a sudden they're talking about it different. Because right down here, it's really about the emotions that connect the human value of what you do. It's so simple. It comes back to simple, simple things. So now all of a sudden it's about relationships. It's about meaningful. It's about being personal. It's everything the fairy godmother did for me and Disney did with the 10,000 people. All right, so now we go from a service journey path to an experience journey path. Everything's the same. The area, the task, the expectation, the standard. But now we add emotional touch points. Where are the emotional? If you want to take it to the next level, this is it. If you're not an emotional person, go find somebody. You can actually go through. One of the things you heard is that I hire now. I do all my hiring through personality temperament. I'll know exactly which one of you are F people that are going to be able to relate to people. Others can't. It's just not in your personality. You shouldn't be the one making those types of decisions. It's just not your defaulted personality. So let's put you in the role that you're good at. And we'll put these other people in the ones that can understand how to add emotion into your business. So it's the same thing. One thing we're going to eliminate is the frustration. We're going to take the negative emotion out. So think about that. Is there one place in your business right now where people go through and you know they're getting frustrated by what you do? If there is, that's the very first thing. Write it down because it'll be the very first thing you go back and change. Because if you know it's frustrating and you let it happen, you know it's a negative emotion that's deterring them, that is going to drive your performance, the overall perception of your performance of your facility down. So if you know that, come on, you really have to change that. It's just like this. I know this is a harsh one. I do this in the HR ones. Everybody think right now, is there one person that pops into your mind that works for you that you unequivocally know they should not be working for you? Do you have one person like that? All right, write that name down. Because I don't care who it is, unless it's a relation, unless it's a family member, you have got to live with that one. But other than that, you need to go home and move that person away from your front line because you know they're bad for their business. You're letting it happen anyways. So you know that's affecting your overall customer experience. It's creating frustration. And then the other one is to add the feelings that we care. Some of you talked about that a little bit when you talked about loyalty, you talked about satisfaction, you talked about some of these things. It's basically just showing that we care about you to come in here and spend your money. We know as families are dysfunctional. We know families are hard to be able to interact together. They can't do it real well. So we're going to help you with it because we're going to push our buttons to make that happen. Now you've stepped up your overall expectation of what's going to happen and or what's going to be delivered is different than what everybody else is doing. All right, so there if you look at the same flow path, everything's the same. Start with foundation, core values. Now we add emotional touch points in. We're going to sensorize, because everything is geared through the five senses, our environment, so what our place looks like, what's it smell like, what's it sound like, what's it taste like. And if it's not positive, you better go back and change that too. That's simple. Then we write it in an experience journey path. We add those experience and those environmental standards that we just said we just added and changed. And now we created all new performance agreement because now we redefine what performance is. We've just stepped ourselves up from basic customer service to a remarkable guest experience. But you have to go through the process and the thought of it or it's never going to happen. You can't just turn a switch on and off. So if I'm looking to walk in my shoes, everything's the same here. All of this is the same. You can reuse all of it. But you add the hearts now that tell the story of the emotion that's added in. We're going to treat them like our long-lost friend. We're going to tell a personal story on the phone. We're going to sing what our promotions are when they come in, and actually when we try to sell them what they are. By the way, every one of these slides, you guys are taking pictures now. I'll access all of these slides off of the BPA's website, correct, in about a week or two. Okay, so at least you'll be able to see it better. Signature move. We're going to talk about that. Ask who they want to be. We're going to talk about that one. So all these different things we can do, they're going to make us a little bit more emotionally attached. Here would be an example of that. If you were to walk through a customer emotional journey path through a coffee place We start, this is, actually this is Starbucks, okay? You start off the location. Okay, here's 0 where we have no emotion. Here's high. We know where we want to go. Reception's okay. Decoration's pretty good. Smells, yeah. Music is good. We're all pretty good up here. Then all of a sudden, boom, we have a long line to wait. We drop. Our emotion drops to a negative. When we look at the price. When our emotion is a negative, we look at the price and say, wow, this is expensive for a cup of coffee. But then we go back up, we say, hey, the possibilities of, and I'm about ready to order, I'm paying, I'm all still pretty good, but then I got to wait for my coffee or whatever to be made, depending on how long it goes. If it's too long, I'm going to drop. I add the milk, I find a chair, that's hard for me to do, I found one, oh, I found a good chair, my emotional went up, the coffee was really good, it was tasty, everything's good, the atmosphere was really cool, oh, I want a newspaper, drop down, there was no newspaper. I waited to find one, whatever. So this is a way for you to actually go through the process of what you do and see where the emotions are going up and down. This is not hard. It's just a timeline. It's just simple thought process. But you need to do that to understand when people walk in, what's happening. When they're walking to your front desk, what's happening. When they're walking to the lane, what's happening. Yes? Okay. Thank you. Sure. All right, let me just explain what the peak end times are. There's 2 things that people are going to remember when they at your experience, the peak time and the end time. So the peak time is going to be something happened to me, and it could be that I rolled a strike, and all the employees, an example would be, came over and gave me a high five, and they made a big deal of it, because I'm a kid. Or I'm a big kid, doesn't matter. That could be a peak time, right? An end time is going to be, what's the very last thing that happened? How many have game rooms? A few of you. Here's an example of an end time and where we get messed up a little bit. Most game rooms end at the redemption center, which is crazy. It's crazy for the mom. It's usually crazy for the kids. It's very aggravating, frustrating, because they're not done very well. If that's what you're ending, they're ending their experience with, they're walking out with a bad experience on the redemption side, they're probably not wanting to come back, not because maybe it wasn't worth it, it was just too frustrating. That's what they're remembering. Oh, that place was frustrating. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go to a movie. At least I can sit down. What would be a poor thing that would happen in a movie? The screen goes dark, right? Or even how about a real long wait to get my popcorn and soda or whatever it is? I know I'm going to get gouged on the pricing, but at least let me get through so I'm not waiting a long time. If that's my end experience, then I go into the movie's bad, yikes, right? That's what I'm remembering. Yeah. Well, what I'm going to tell you is probably not what I'm probably going to like. You know how many players on a lane they can get through, the number of games they'll get through, right? If you go 5, 6, probably not going to happen, right? But 4, probably going to happen. So if you think that's really that important to you, then you start looking at, am I causing that poor thing to happen? Because you're right, that could happen. Or am I gearing it on time? So I'm not playing by games, I'm selling you by time, which is a lot of bowling centers do now. They sell their lanes by time. Or, in the case of kids could care less about the game's finished or not. The adults might, but kids usually could care less. So you have to look at how you're doing it, and then you have to look at if it's something that's causing you that much emotional down, then you got to fix that. That's the whole idea behind this, is that you're looking at this and saying, let me fix this. Does this mean that I've got to bring more people up? I should, because I know if I'm bringing, if these people, if this stays with them, this negative all the way through, in the end, well, guess what? They're walking by probably saying, I'm not going back there for coffee. I'm going to try someplace else, or just go to the Dunkin' Donuts up the road because it's quick. So that's the thought process behind this, okay? A lot of what we're finding out right now of what people are willing to do, families are willing to do, they're willing to go to your facility, they're willing to still pay for family entertainment, but they really are looking for value. And ultimately, the value is something just as simple as when they walk out, was it worth what I paid for? In their minds, in their perception, their perceived mind, was it worth what I paid for? If you put that intangible value, I tell this about birthday parties. Some of you folks have been to my birthday program. There's $75. Every one of your birthday programs can add to that. $75. Just add to it right across the top if you can put the emotional value into that party. There's another $100 to $200 an hour, or $300 possibly even, to your corporate events if you just add the emotional piece to it. Because it's intangible. Nobody does it, but it makes people feel good about when they end. In parties, I know unequivocally it'll happen. Across the board. If you see these parties, say, how are they doing a $275 on average, a $300 party for 10 kids? On average, right? It's because they're adding some emotional element beyond the tangible element of just their new attractions or what they build. Because anybody can put up the attraction. You know, you guys, How many are family entertainment centers 12 to 16 lanes and under? Just a couple here. But all of you that are sitting here without your hands up, you're getting killed by them. That's what these guys are doing. They're coming up with, I don't know how many lanes you guys have, but they're coming up, these FEC hybrids are coming up with 12, 14, 16 lanes, 18 lanes, not a lot of lanes. They're not calling themselves a bowling place. They're just a place where you can bowl if you want. You think that's taking business away from you all? Absolutely. And it'll continue because that is the trend right now in family entertainment centers, is to add 12 to 16 lanes. And so it's going to continue to take business away because anybody can put lanes in. But not everybody can achieve and put in that emotional value that you're willing and can do. So we're going to talk about just a couple of things here. Do you know how long this goes to? 4 o'clock? 4 o'clock? Okay, good. We're good time here. So, and I'm going to give you a little time, I hope, for questions, it looks like. 4 things are going to add, or 3 that you can add to the emotional element. And I'm going to give you one thing that you can take back and do that is so simple that it hits all 4 of these things. So we're looking to involve more people, more emotion. We're looking to interact every day. So we're going to start training our young front line to interact every day. Give them the tools for them to interact every day. Be more fun, be more customer satisfaction, all the things that you talked about earlier that fall into your values statement. We're going to make a game of everything. So whatever it is, if they're waiting in line, who's to say someone can't walk by and make a fun game for them to do? I don't care if it's your maintenance person. Well, that's not what our maintenance person does. Why not? Well, our maintenance person's clean. Sure, they're going to clean. But they could also add to the whole level of what you do by seeing a big long line of people and saying, you know what, these kids are probably not happy and the moms are certainly not happy because the kids are bouncing around all over the place. Let me just do a really quick game and get these kids doing it. Yeah. I mean, why not? We're going to create a show for everyone. So shows are really cool. A show could just be that excitement that everybody has in the high five. That's a show for all their mini little group around them. That's what's exciting. That same show is exciting for everybody else. The level of the energy goes up. I watched once here in Las Vegas, he was a manager who sat at a table back then, and now it was a table, it was a slot machine, but it wasn't a slot, it was a push button one. And it was a nickel machine. So I don't know what he put in, he just sat down with 3 of us waiting for him to finish. And about 5 minutes into it, he gets up, he goes, yeah! Sits back down, presses the button again, gets up and goes, whoa! Presses the button again, a little more, presses the button, gets up and does a happy dance, right? Gets down again. All of a sudden I look up, and there's about 30 people crowded around. They can't see what he's winning or not winning, because it was a flat table, or a flat machine. And now he's just having a good old time, dancing around, high-fiving, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. He gets up, cashes out. You hear the cha-ching of the cash out. I said, so how much did you win? He said, 45 cents. It didn't matter. But everybody, those 30 people, they thought he was a big winner. Because they're all standing around watching and say, oh. And then he gets up again and says, oh, this guy. And they're all whispering. It's just a matter of the show that was, again, perception is everything. Last thing we're going to do is going to try to personalize the experience. So what can you do for every person that goes through to engage them into a personal manner, like the fairy godmother did with me? All right, here's one thing. You can do this. It hits all 4. This is the simplest thing. I teach this all the time, and I can't tell you how many people don't do it. This is what a signature move is. It's nothing more than this. My daughter comes home from a soccer camp. I said, Paige, what did you learn at soccer camp? She goes, my coach told me I need a signature move. I said, oh, what's that? She goes, that's where I get one move and I practice it over and over and over again, so I'm so comfortable with it that I can just do it whenever I want. Got it. So that's what you all need as owners, as managers, as maintenance people, as frontline people. Everybody come up with one signature move. Doesn't matter what it is, but practice it so you feel comfortable. You don't do it now because you're not comfortable with it. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be a joke. It could be you want to carry around, okay, if you don't have that personality, you want to carry around a card, a game card, right? You have a game room and you're the big shot and you can just go up to somebody and right before that kid puts his card in, you just slide yours in there, got you first, right? And walk away. That could be your signature move. But that's what they're going to talk about. Yeah, that guy went in and put in and he paid for my game. It was really cool. But that makes a difference in what he did that day. So the signature move could be anything. This is actually my signature move, only this is not me on the video, where you can watch this, because this is the one that I would actually do with people.
Dude. What's up, bro? How are you? So good, dude. High five. Nice. Turkey! Oh, come on, man. Seriously, dude. All right, cool. Dude, really? All right. All right, this time I'm not going to do it. Okay. Stick shift! Oh, really? I'm not a car. Park it. Pop the rock. Snowman. Frosty. Ride the boat. Yeah! Free Willy. I'm free! Hardcore parkour. TIE Fighter. Rock on the road. Oh no! Squid. Okay. I'm done with this. All right, give me that.
All right, besides the end move, that's not the one I do. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. So you want to learn a few pounders or a few different high fives, whatever, that could be your signature move. But look what the power you have when you walk around your facility, whether you find kids or adults or whatever it is, and you can do something that you're comfortable with because you've practiced it over and over. So I know some of you are looking at me, some especially you introverts, and saying, oh man, that would be really hard for me to do. Hey, this is a people business. It is all about people. It's all about connecting people, interacting with people. So if you can't do that, or can't push yourself to do that, well, either you should be in the accounting office, I guess, and that's good enough, or you probably shouldn't be at this meeting, but you've got to get everybody else to go out there and do that for you. So ultimately it needs to happen. If it's not happening, well, what does that do though? It gives you, it's interacting every day. It's a game, makes a game out of a greeting. It's a show. If I were to do those types of things, it creates a show, and it's also a personalizing. It hits all four things. And all I did was a signature move. Something that simple. Okay, I'm going to show you a different one. Ready? Stand up real quick. This is called this is the signature move hug, right? Stand right here. Are you okay with it? All right, we're going to come in for the hug. Ready? We come in for the hug. We don't even touch. Squid. Right? There's a signature hug. If you don't want to touch, thanks. If you don't want to touch them, that's okay. You don't have to use that. You can find something that works. All right, find something that will work. All right, here's another example of a story. This story is, have you heard of Pike's Fish Market up in Seattle? They've been around forever. They are the epitome of this because they do this all the time, right? That's all they do, and they became world famous. World famous because they decided, they're fishmongers, the people that work for them, they're going to get up and choose their own attitude. That's the first they're going to do because they know if they press a button, they can choose to be happy, they can choose to be sad. They're going to look to make the day of every guest they come across. They're going to live in the moment, and they're going to play. And so what do? What do they become world famous doing? Throwing fish. And they're one of the, again, top-selling fish markets in the world. Where'd our volume go back there? There's his signature move.
Not just like you come to work and it's fun. It's like you have to regenerate it every day. And it's actually like something that's hard to do at all, but if you're just going to stand around, you're not going to have fun. So we make it fun by being crazy and doing little things and having fun with the customers, and in turn, they're coming back with us, and we're just real people, man. We're not fake.
All they are choosing to have fun. Do you know that guy's a fishmonger, never graduated from college? Do you know that? And he was one of the highest paid touring Fortune 500 speakers back in the day. This is old stuff. This is not new. This has been around 15 years, 20 years. But they continue. They're still around, still doing that. All they did was change the culture of the way they did things. All right, I got 5 minutes left. I got 2 more things to show you, but I just want to let you guys do this. Some of you have already done it. I'm going to give away 2 manuals and a scholarship to one of my programs. If you want to fill this out, feel free to, and then just hand it in. And then right before you go, I'll actually give them out and you'll walk out with them. Okay? I always like to give something away at every one of the programs I do. So if you want to work on filling it out over the next couple minutes, then that's okay. If not, that's okay too. All right, my last story here, and it's a simple one. It's a very simple one. This is the Ivy Inn in Charlottesville, Virginia. And we decided to have a 25-year-old birthday dinner for my daughter there. My son goes to school there, so we all met there and decided to have the birthday there. And this is what happened. We got there, and he said, wow, this is a quaint little place. Very cool set up. It was like the environment was perfect. Remember I said sensorize the environment. We walked in. We felt intimate. It was a nice place that we were going to have this party. When we got there, we noticed a couple things. The first thing was these were fresh-cut flowers, and they picked them from their garden right in the back for my daughter and her birthday. Very cool. Then you can't see it, but right here it says, Happy Birthday, Summer. That's the menu. My daughter's name is Summer. So the menu is actually personalized. This picture right here was on Facebook in less than 2 minutes. If it was on Facebook, it was in all her friends' news feed. So all of a sudden, we are at the Ivy Inn at Charlottesville, Virginia, and this is on Facebook. This is what happens when you do some of these things and you set these things up. All right, we had there, she's just with her brother, so that was fun. Okay, the family interaction, it was great. You can tell in their faces, hey, they wanted to be there. They were enjoying it. All right, we had a little toast. Oh, by the way, this champagne that was there, they knew it was her birthday. Maybe my wife said we were celebrating her birthday, but the champagne was included for free. We didn't buy it. They had a little champagne for all of us. Okay. Now, as you can see, I'll give you this. Now, my son's now 21, but back then, we had to pretend he was her friend from Texas because naturally, you know what all 19, 20-year-olds have, right? If you don't have kids in college. Fake ID, right? So anyways, we said, yeah, go ahead. All right, he's our buddy from Texas. So there he is. So we have the toast, and then we have another toast, and now I want you to see something, what made this so important. We're toasting it, and these pictures are all on. See this guy back there? That's Grandpa. He's 84 years old. You don't think he was glad to be there that day? He was so proud to be included and so proud to be involved. Just family things, yes, but all the things that happened. That's what you're paying for. That meal was not cheap, and I was glad to put out the $300 for it. Because you know what? I didn't care. It was a memory, like you said. It was a memory that was going to last forever. But it was about the emotion that made it happen. Last little video. It's as simple as this. If you can bring people, all these people, into your facility and make them laugh like that from infant all the way up to grandpas, you are doing the job that you need to do to connect everybody emotionally, and then your business is going to naturally be as large or as growth or as high volume as you want it to be. That's all it takes. But it takes some work to do that. All right, we got about 2 minutes, so pass in those things, and we'll just collect them forward and pass them forward. So pass them to the inside. Pass them forward real quick. While they're doing that, anybody has questions? I've got a little bit of time for questions, but you have to speak into this speaker because they're taping. Anybody have any questions? I know it's more profound and very theory-oriented. You have the hardest job is to execute. How are you going to execute it?